Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of gpsforlove.com. Are you afraid that you're never going to find the love that you really want? Are you smart enough to realize that your way isn't working and you need to do things differently, but you don't know what to do? Or do you realize that you do need to make changes, but you're afraid of making them because you're afraid that they're never going to work out and you're going to wind up alone again? Well, if so, I want you to pay close attention because I've got a great video just for you. See, I recently received an email from one of the members of our GPS for Love community, and she says, Joe, I'm definitely stuck in a vicious cycle of not knowing how to change, thinking it's impossible, and I'm extremely afraid of the unknown. Whenever I feel something I don't like, I shut down. I can't do this. I really do not know what to do, and I feel paralyzed. When I talk to friends who are in successful relationships, they tell me to just put myself out there, but that terrifies me. How do I move past the fear? Gigi. Well, first of all, Gigi, I want to thank you for actually reaching out and sharing this email with me and the GPS for Love community, because I promise you, you're not alone. And in fact, that's why we created gpsforlove.com. It's to help you on your journey. So let's get to what's really going on here, because, you know, here at GPS for Love, I'm all about getting to the truth, about identifying what the real problems are and learning how to fix those so you can create the results you desire and deserve. So let's start in the very beginning, okay? Where you're stuck in a vicious cycle of not knowing how to change, thinking it's impossible, and being extremely afraid of the unknown. See, what's really going on here is that you're uncertain. You're scared. You have no control. And part of the biggest challenges for us human beings is we want to control everything. We want certainty. We want to know things are going to work out. And it's one of the biggest problems we all go through because we really have no control. We can't control what another person is going to do. We can't control the outcome. Yes, we can do things which give us a greater chance of getting the result we want, but ultimately we can't control things. So what I find, what works in my life and what I've learned to do is identify and get to the truth of what's going on, because we use this word fear. So let's understand what fear really is. See, fear is simply a biological response which is designed to keep us safe and keep us alive. There was a day many, many, many years ago where men and women just lived in caves. And if they walked out of that cave, they would get eaten. So the powers that created us kind of put this fear mechanism in us, which is designed to keep us safe and keep us alive. But through the years, it kind of got distorted. And so anytime we became uncomfortable, we started to get outside of our comfort zone, or there were things that we couldn't control and we were afraid of the possible outcomes, we identified it as fear. And we get into that paralyzed state. So what you're experiencing is simply fear of the unknown. It's going into a world of uncertainty, and that scares the crap out of you. And I get it. That's what we all do. It's called the comfort zone for a reason, is we like to stay in our comfortable little worlds, even if those comfortable little worlds are crappy. You know, there's an expression, the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know. Well, it's not always true, because the devil that you know is the devil, okay? It's not giving you the experience you want. And just look at how many of us live our lives. We stay in crappy relationships. We work at jobs we hate just so we can get the certainty of a certain income, okay? We don't do the things we need to do to become healthy, because then we're going to have to get uncomfortable, okay? We're going to have to do things that we might not like, or maybe we're getting that comfort from the food and from not exercising and being lazy. Okay? And again, this isn't judgment. This is simply about shining light on why we do what we do. So you've got to be able, first and foremost, to identify the two. So fear is a biological response which is designed to keep you safe and alive. Uncertainty is a learned response which is designed to keep you comfortable. So right from the beginning, anytime you have fear, you want to identify it. Okay, am I going to die? That's what I do. Am I going to die? Is my safety in jeopardy? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is no. So then it's like, okay, cool, it's uncertainty. What am I afraid of? What's the uncertainty that I need to face, that I need to deal with? And then it just makes it much easier to move on. So what you have to do, Gigi, and anybody who's in this situation, is you need to identify, okay, what am I really afraid of? What am I scared of? What's the uncertainty that I'm struggling with? And I'm going to give you some tips in a few minutes on how to do that. But before I do that, you know, the last part of your email is something I want to address. It says, when you talk to friends who are in successful relationships, they tell you to just simply put yourself out there, and that terrifies you. Okay? And I get it. And this is the problem when you take advice from other people, because when your friends are talking to you, they're talking to you logically. Okay? Human behavior has very little to do with logic. We are driven by our emotions. So it's like kind of saying, to the fat person, hey, you know what? Just eat better and exercise. Okay? That's logic. They know that. Okay? But you need to understand, why isn't a person doing it? So when your friends say to you, well, just put yourself out there. Yeah, it's easy for them to say because they're not in related, they're not in your shoes and they're not you. So you got to be really, really careful when you take advice. And you need to understand this is about you and your emotions. Okay? What's driving you? So again, when they say put yourself out there and just like, oh, I don't know, that's when you look at the uncertainty. What am I afraid of? What's the uncertainty that I have to face, that I have to deal with? So I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to do that. Okay? The first one is to ask yourself this question. And that simple question, am I going to die? And again, if you're not going to die and your safety isn't in jeopardy, then you're simply in uncertainty. So now that you've identified, okay, I'm not going to die, I'm going to be alive, I'm going to be safe, then you ask yourself, what is it that I'm really afraid of? And maybe you say, maybe I'm afraid of making a mistake. Maybe I'm afraid of getting my heart broken. Maybe I'm afraid of never finding love and I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Maybe I'm afraid of leaving a relationship and being able to survive financially. Maybe I'm afraid of leaving a relationship and never finding somebody better, never finding somebody who's as good a lover. Okay? Whatever it is, okay? Once you start asking better questions, it's so much easier to get to the truth. Then once you get to the truth, what you've got to do is you've got to learn to take courageous action. Okay? That's taking that leap of faith. The one thing I see with my clients who succeed in great relationships is they're willing to take that leap of faith. They're willing to take that courageous action and take a step closer to their goal. And once they start doing that and they start seeing, hey, you know what? That wasn't so bad. I'm alive. I'm okay. And they start developing a confidence and they start developing something they call momentum. And they ultimately wind up getting to the result that they really want. So human behavior is really simple. We're not as complicated as we're brought up to believe. It's just nobody ever taught us why we do what we do. So Gigi and everybody else listening to this, I want you to understand that this whole struggle, everything that you're talking about in this email, is simply being afraid of being uncertain. And so once you identify that and you see it for what it really is, it's so much easier to deal with it and to move on and create the results you desire and deserve. So this is a really, really important video. I know we create a lot of videos. I know I say that, but if you can learn how to handle the uncertainty, because there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty in dating and relationships, but if you learn how to dance with it and you learn how to expect it and you learn how to meet it head on, the journey becomes so much easier and, believe it or not, so much more enjoyable. So I want to hear from you. What are you struggling with? Take some mirror time, and what are the things that you thought that you were afraid of, and look at it now through the mirror of uncertainty. What are you uncertain about? What is that fear of uncertainty that you're dealing with? And identify it. And then take yourself through these questions and ask yourself, what's the one thing, the one action that you can take today that's going to take you closer to your goal? And then go do it. All right? So I want to hear from you. I want you to send your questions, the things you're struggling with, because as you see, I do read these things, and who knows, they may turn into a blog for the rest of the members of our community. As always, an honor, privilege to be with you. I'll see you next time. Much love.